Hi Aquarius, welcome back to my channel. I'm doing your general messages for the week ahead, and I've already pulled the oracle cards, so we'll get straight into it. First one we have here is orphaned, and it came out in the reverse, so there's kind of a protection message attached to this. So it kind of speaks about maybe healing from separation or possibly rejection, or just feelings of maybe not belonging. And basically kind of spirit is showing you that you're going to be moving out of a cycle where past wounds could have made you feel isolated, or maybe believing that you had to face everything alone. So it's kind of also, it's a time to ask yourself, like, are you still identifying with an old story of being left out or abandoned, even though your circumstances have changed or are changing? And another question is about, are you pushing away any kind of support because you've become used to relying on only yourself? Aquarius is very independent, and also with that cat spirit there, it says claim your independence as well, which we'll get to. So it's just a reminder that you're not meant to kind of keep disconnected from people. So, you need to maybe get into the community a bit more and offer help, or have kind of build genuine connections, and just allow yourself to receive these people and any sort of gifts that they're giving you, whether that's their time or actually physical gifts, or just helping you out. So kind of it's talking about releasing any sort of like outsider mindset. Why is that? Is it just me, or is that? There we go. I thought it was not. What is the word? It was blurry. Okay, not focusing. That's the word I'm looking for. So then we have guidance. So it says new moon in Virgo, and it says a time to give rather than take. This card is basically about small things that create lasting change, so it's about giving your energy to other people, or to healthy routines, or being generous with your time, if it feels like obviously balanced and appreciated, and then take kind of steps towards your goals instead of waiting for everything to kind of feel perfect. So I don't know, it's just a reminder that, if you put in quiet, consistent effort in something, then it will kind of produce meaningful results. So then we have the cat spirit, and it says claim your independence. And I feel like it's not about contradicting the orphaned message, it kind of more complements it. So it's basically about healing the belief that you're alone, and also kind of just standing confidently like in your independence. Healthy independence isn't isolation, it's kind of knowing that you can stand on your own while allowing the right people into your life. So it's basically about, trusting your intuition, set healthy boundaries if you need to, don't chase anyone, or any opportunities that basically mean that you kind of have to abandon yourself with that orphan card, and just move with confidence. I feel like there's a mixture here of like, not isolating yourself, but keeping your independence. Like, how can you balance those two things? Okay, so let's get some tarot cards for you, Aquarius. Okay, let's see. This is the Emperor in reverse. That is Aries energy. What else? We have the Five of Cups. We have the Wheel of Fortune. I'm doing things a little bit differently this week, where I'm putting all the cards and then even the clarifiers, and then we'll get to the message. So if you want to skip through, just go ahead and skip through now. Okay, for Aquarius, we have the Four of Cups. What else? We have the Seven of Pentacles, and one more. We have the Ten of Pentacles. Very nice. Okay, then let's Let's see for your clarifiers. For Aquarius, so what is the Emperor? We have the Four of Wands. What is, okay, we have the Knight of Cups. What is the Wheel of Fortune? We have the Three of Cups. Okay, oh, dropping cards here. So what is the World? We have Judgment, Scorpio energy. What is the Four of Cups? We have the Queen of Wands. Okay, and then what is, okay, we have the King of Wands. And then we have the Ten of Pentacles with the Hanged Man. Okay. So, sorry Aquarius, I just had to take a phone call. Okay, so the Emperor in reverse clarified by the Four of Wands. This is your overall energy for the week. So it seems like the week begins with kind of, I don't know, something that isn't something that you can control. It could be like some sort of instability, or there could be delays, possibly even power struggles, or maybe just someone around you that's, I don't know, unreliable or stubborn, you know, and you kind of just feel like, you know, the plan that you had in your head isn't actually working out that way. But the Four of Wands kind of shows that, you know, it doesn't matter if there's kind of uncertainty or anything like that. It's actually laying some sort of stronger foundations for you. And, you know, it does speak of stability and celebrations and, you know, home life and harmony and maybe just reaching an important milestone. So any kind of disorder at the moment or instability is something that's actually going to be much stronger. Okay, then we have the Five of Cups clarified by the Knight of Cups. So this is what you don't see coming. So it could be that, you know, that there's something that's caused disappointment, or there's some sort of sadness around it, or maybe even just regret, but that's kind of starting to shift a bit with the Knight of Cups, because the Knight of Cups is like some sort of emotional movement, you know. So it could be like a heartfelt conversation, it could be an apology, it could be someone actually telling you how they feel, or a romantic offer, maybe even an invitation, maybe a date, you know, but just some sort of like gesture that helps heal some sort of wound, you know. So you're not going to be stuck in some sort of loss. It's basically just showing that there is an emotional opportunity that's kind of coming out of nowhere, and that kind of helps you restore your hope in a way. And then we have the Wheel of Fortune, if I can actually pick it up, clarified by the Three of Cups. So this is your career and your money and your daily life. So basically the Wheel of Fortune is kind of about things beginning to move, you know, even if these things have been feeling stuck lately. It is also about luck and timing and, divine intervention and everything like that. So whatever is happening at the moment, just know that behind the scenes, these things are like happening for your best good. And the Three of Cups is about celebrations and supportive colleagues and teamwork and maybe even networking opportunities, or, you know, just receiving some sort of good news that's actually worth celebrating. So basically you could feel in your work life or your money that like your momentum's kind of returning again. So try to say yes to sort of opportunities that connect with other people, and yeah, support is kind of coming through maybe your community right now, like we were saying there. Okay, then we have the World, and that's clarified by Judgment, which is Scorpio energy. So this is your love and relationships, right? This is quite significant because we've got two major arcanas here. So the World is kind of about like some sort of cycle in your relationships are completing, and Judgment is kind of about, you know, rising above any sort of old patterns and, you know, answering the call to maybe even just a healthier future. So it could mean that you either finally finding some sort of closure. It could be reconciling if, you know, both of you have actually grown and closed this cycle out. It's maybe even just choosing a completely new direction in love altogether, and letting go of relationships that don't align with you anymore. So whatever it is, it's basically just saying that there's a new chapter here because you've learned some sort of lessons from the past. So just, you know, don't be scared of any sort of endings, because whatever's happening at the moment, it's kind of creating space for something that's more aligned with who you've become. And then we have the Four of Cups clarified by the Queen of Wands, and this is your challenge or your block, right? So the Four of Wands is kind of about, you know, I don't know, being either emotionally withdrawn or overlooking opportunities because they don't come in as you expected them to. But then the Queen of Wands is kind of like, you know, confidence, and, you know, you got to trust your intuition and don't doubt your worth, you know. It's also about allowing yourself to be seen. Maybe that's a fear of yours that you don't like to be seen with that orphaned in the reverse, you know, and that's why you are so independent, because, you know, you don't want to make it about you. So, you know, sometimes the opportunity that you've been waiting for is kind of in front of you, and you just need to have the confidence to kind of see it. So yeah, just be confident this week. And then we have the Seven of Pentacles clarified by the King of Wands, and this is your advice. So this is kind of just a reminder that, you know, that you've been working towards growth, and, you know, even if you can't see the results just yet, you know, the King of Wands is about leadership, you know, so it's kind of just staying focused on the bigger picture, and don't kind of, I don't know, become discouraged, I guess, by any sort of delays or anything like that. You need to just know that the growth is the results are coming, you know. So just be determined and trust like the long-term plan, I guess, and keep planting the seeds there with the Seven of Pentacles. Then we have the Ten of Pentacles and the Hanged Man, which is Pisces energy, as your outcome. So basically the Ten of Pentacles is kind of long-term security, it's abundance, it's family, it's success, stability, you know, and just building something that lasts. And the Hanged Man is kind of, you know, asking you to have some sort of patience, and maybe surrender, and just be willing to kind of see things from a different perspective. So maybe it's that whatever blessings are coming in, that they're coming in divine timing, and this card is just kind of, you know, saying that you just need to release any sort of expectations, and just allow things to kind of unfold naturally. But that's very good ending energy, you know. Now we are going to do your mini love reading, but just I'm going to pull all the oracle cards before I actually start speaking. So again, just skip ahead if you don't want to see me pull the cards. So what are Aquarius's feelings for their person? We have clinging, and it says holding on, obsessing, and spying. Bottom of the deck, we have nourish, self-growth, self-focused, and soul-finding. Okay, then let's see for Aquarius's person's feelings towards Aquarius. We have possibilities, free-spirited, adventure, and risks. And bottom of the deck, we have open heart, receptive, empathy, and vulnerable. Okay, then for your romance angels, see what the Aquarius needs to know. We have separation, time apart from your partner is on the horizon. What else? For Aquarius, we have honeymoon, enjoy the bliss of holiday time together. Okay, and one more. We have express your love, go ahead and make the romantic gesture. And then bottom of the deck, we have free yourself. It's time to take back control of your life. Okay, and then some messages from your person. Okay, what would Aquarius' person say? We have, you were the best thing in my life. We have, it was my fault, but I blamed you. And we have, I left when I saw you with someone. Bottom of the deck, we have, I'm not available. So I'm going to try and break this down as much as possible for people in different stages of their relationships. So with your feelings being clinging clarified by nourish, right? I suppose if you're single, it could be that you may be still emotionally attached to someone from the past. And it doesn't mean that you're actually acting on it, but there might be still some sort of like thoughts that are still lingering around, or maybe checking up on their social media, or just kind of replaying old conversations, just struggling to let go. And with the nourished card, it's basically saying that like your healing journey is kind of already happening, you know, so you are learning that your happiness doesn't have to kind of depend on another person, and you know, that you kind of are just rediscovering yourself in a way. But if you're in a relationship, you know, maybe you're kind of holding on tightly because you're kind of scared of losing the relationship, or you know, you could even be holding on to kind of past hurts, or maybe even insecurities, and it's just maybe over analyzing your partner's actions at the moment. And you know, the nourish card is just about relationships that are healthy kind of require two whole individuals, you know, like that you've each worked on yourself. So continue to nurture yourself as much as possible, and the partnership, I guess. And if you're in separation at the moment, it could just be that, you know, that you're holding on to hope, or thinking that this person is, you know, going to come back in some way. Not saying that they won't, just that's your, you know, that's your hope. And just finding it difficult to kind of release the connection. But basically it's, again, showing that there is some sort of healing here. And even if you still love that person, you're kind of beginning to kind of rebuild yourself and kind of just figure out who you are outside of the relationship again, you know. And maybe you just need to rely on your community there with the orphan in reverse, but still reclaim your independence with that cat spirit. Then for their feelings towards you, Aquarius, basically, I suppose if you're single, it's kind of that this person kind of still sees potential towards you if it's someone from your past, and they kind of, you know, may think about like, what if I did things differently, or what if this worked out, or, you know, that type of thing. So there's some sort of like curiosity there, where like they're wondering if there was different circumstances, would you guys, you know, be there, or would you be fully committed, and that type of thing. And with the open heart energy, it's kind of, you know, that there's some sort of genuine feelings here, even if they're not actually expressing it. So yeah, I guess that person is, there's still some sort of feelings going on behind the scenes. If you are in a relationship, it kind of seems that that I guess your person kind of feels like there's possibility for your future together, and that they're thinking about new experiences, or travel, or maybe like bringing some sort of fresh energy into the relationship. And it just shows that they're kind of willing to be emotionally vulnerable, like, you know, if you guys are communicating honestly and that type of thing. And for someone in separation, excuse me, it's basically just saying that they haven't really closed the door emotionally right now, and they're kind of just still wondering about reconciliation, or maybe imagining what could happen in the future between the two of you. And it seems like there's feelings there that they haven't properly expressed to you, maybe, and they could be just feeling like more affected emotionally than what they're actually telling you. Then with the romance angels, so with separation being here, it kind of maybe seems that you're still healing from a separation if you're single. And, you know, if you are actually in a relationship, then You know, it's about, I guess, healing some sort of emotional distance between the two of you, that could be happening. And you know, if this is someone from your past, it's just a clarification that, you know, that's currently the situation, that you guys aren't together. Then with the honeymoon card, it's kind of just showing that things might be getting a little bit like lighter and happier, and you know, it's just going to be a bit more of a fun time together. And it could even be, you know, if there is some sort of separation between the two of you, or like even just spending quality time together, sorry, just in general. But if there is some sort of separation between you, it could be that there is some sort of like healing here, or reconnecting peacefully. It doesn't always mean getting back together, but it could mean that. But just like, you know, getting back on the same page, or being able to kind of, you know, apologize each side and move forward. And then we have express your love. Obviously for singles and relationships, it's about, you know, maybe just telling someone how you feel, or showing how other people how much they mean to you, you know. If you are in separation, it's kind of just maybe just saying that you need to just be honest when you're communicating, if the opportunity arises that you guys do talk. And then with free yourself at the bottom of the deck, it's kind of, I feel like it's got something to do with like your independence here, especially with this cat spirit. So maybe it's like just, you know, freeing yourself from some sort of emotional weight, either from the past if you're single, or if you're in a relationship, just letting go of unhealthy patterns or fears or routines or something like that. And if you're in separation, it's kind of just reminding you that, you know, that if there is kind of reconciliation that can happen, it can only happen if there's like the old cycles and the fears or the unhealthy attachments are kind of released first. Then so the messages from your person, just saying that you were the best thing in my life, is kind of, you know, if you're single, or if it's someone from your past in that you're in separation, it could mean that like you were like a significant person in their life, and that they cared a lot about you. I guess if you are in a relationship, it's kind of about, you know, just letting you know that you light up their life, and that you currently just I don't know, keep them in check, and they just care a lot about you. And then it was my fault, but I blamed you. That's kind of very self-explanatory. You know, maybe this person is realizing that some sort of things that they did in the past is, you know, that they couldn't take accountability for it, and they're starting to take that now. If you're in a relationship now, it could just be like an argument, and they're like, you know, okay, fair enough, it was like I was just stressed out and I took it out on you, or something along those lines, you know. And then I left when I saw you with someone. It could be that there was someone else altogether, you know, that they're trying to, I don't know, get through this, and if there's any sort of third party situation that they maybe even just thought in their heads, but it's basically just saying that, you know, it doesn't matter what these feelings were or whatever, that there was just some sort of like jealousy, or even just misunderstanding, and they, you know, they're accepting responsibility now as well. You know, if you are in a relationship though, sorry, I'm trying my best to kind of, you know, express it as much as what, you know, for each type of person, but these cards are very much for people in separation. So I guess if this is someone that, you know, that you are currently with, it's kind of that they just want to, I don't know, to be honest, I don't know if you're in a relationship. I don't think this resonates with you. So I'm going to leave that, take what resonates there. And then the I'm not available at the bottom of the deck, that's very kind of either they weren't emotionally available, and maybe there's some sort of learning from that, or there's just not enough time, you know, to be able to give to the connection at the moment. So that's what I have for you, Aquarius. I hope there was a message that helped, and I will see you guys again soon. Take care.